Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Thoughts of a Rambling Mind. I of course only make videos when I'm intrigued, and of course I'm intrigued. So, this video is going to be about a stabbing that happened up in Harlem. A young lady walked into the store with a child, went to purchase some bag of chips, and when she went to swipe her e.b.t card, which if you don't know, that's a public assistance card, swiped the card, it didn't have enough funds for the bag of chips. The store clerk denied her the ability to get the chips without the funds. There's a report that he retrieved the chips from the little girl. She then left the store, went and told her significant other, not sure if it's the father of that child, it doesn't seem like it, then told her significant other. He then returned to the store, engaged in a confrontation with the store clerk, entered behind the counter, engaged in a physical confrontation with the store clerk, at which time the store clerk produced a knife and stabbed him multiple times in the neck. He was pronounced dead on the scene. The clerk was arrested and has since been released on bond that was reduced from $500,000 to $50,000 at the request of both the district attorney and the prosecutor. District attorney and the lawyer, the defense lawyer. So, yeah, that's the story in a nutshell. However, my thoughts on the story. There's a lot to break down in the story, right? So we're going to start off with the young lady going to the store with her child to make a purchase, which is perfectly fine. The purchase was for a bag of chips. She did not have the funds on her card to make that purchase. There's a number of things wrong here. Number one, you should know how much money you have to spend before you go into a store to spend it. It's an innocent mistake, but it's something that we should be aware of. That's nobody else's fault but your own. Secondly, the money that you're using to purchase this bag of chips, you're purchasing it through public funds. Now, there's no knock on the people that need public funds that have to use them, but those who are using them and not using them optimally are wasting public funds, and those that do not need them and are using them are doubly wasting public funds. In this case, I don't know which is her case, but I can go back to it later on by what I perceive. But let's continue. She's using public funds to purchase the bag of chips. When I say use optimally, I'm not sure, but unless this was lunchtime, going to get a lunch for the kid, the bag of chips is not the optimal purchase for the public funds to feed your family. It just isn't. It's a snack, and they just don't give you enough funds to purchase snacks as well as meals. They just don't. Fine, she's getting her the bag of chips again. Another innocent gesture. And again, she is not correct in this gesture, but it's an innocent gesture. No harm, no foul. The store clerk, seeing that she did not have the funds for the bag of chips, did not allow her to take the chips without the funds. Now, this is a mixed issue, right? Because if you're from the community, you're very aware that we support these stores, and they usually extend us a line of credit, especially to mothers with public assistance cards. So this, for me, is a red flag on who she is, her personality, and maybe her approach, right? There's very rare occasions where you won't be extended a credit in the store, especially over something as small as a bag of chips. And it's either because your credit is already too large, because or because you have a bad attitude. But for the most part, these people who in some ways exploit our communities by putting their businesses in our communities, participating in activities with our females that they wouldn't participate or condone us participating with their females, delegating our females to the prices of whatever they can afford on their food stamp card. So these things happen in the community, but the extension of credit is pretty universal. I can't presume, but it's pretty universal in the hood. She was not extended this credit for the bag of chips for her daughter. I don't know why, but I will say that there's some red flags there. Next, we'll move on to the report. There's no evidence of this, but the report that the store clerk removed the bag of chips from the little girl. Now, although that might be emotionally upsetting to all of us that are parents, we have to wonder, why did he have to come around the counter to remove the bag of chips in the first place? Unless there was some type of debate about whether or not you should get this bag of chips on credit or for free without having the funds. So she was wrong on that part too. She then, after I got the bag of chips removed, left the store and went and called gentlemen, which to me is just the beginning of the end, right? This is the biggest flaw I think we have in the community, right? And no, it's not the biggest one, but it's one of the big flaws. All right, she goes and calls this gentleman because she didn't have the funds to pay for a bag of chips, and the owner of the store, the owner of the bag of chips, had to physically remove the bag of chips from her because she did not put it down herself. Okay, she goes and calls this man, and this man comes down to the store feeling obligated to defend his woman and his family, maybe. Defend their honor, defend their pride. The honor and the pride of people who could not afford a bag of chips. And this comes back to the misuse of the public assistance system. Because he comes down dressed in a luxury Amiri t-shirt. And the young lady cannot afford a bag of chips. She did not go in her pocket and just pull out the cash because it wasn't on her card. You see, although she is scamming the system, she's also scamming herself. Some people scam the system when they really need the services. Yeah, some people really need the services and scam the system all at the same time. And this young lady, I believe, is one of those. Because the gentleman definitely is dressed like he can afford a bag of chips. But he came down to fight over a bag of chips that his young lady couldn't afford to buy for her child. Defend her honor. And I think black women, especially women in poverty, need to stop running and causing these black men and calling these black men into these situations, right? So this black man comes down and sees the store clerk, senior citizen, and decides to engage into a physical confrontation with this man. This man, we as black men have to stop thinking that we're the biggest, toughest, strongest things walking the earth. Also, another lesson, you young boys have to stop thinking that you can just assault old people. You gotta remember that as tough as you are, all of the rough and tough tumble things that you did, one day you'll be old and you'll still be that person. You just have a lot more years on earth and a lot more experience, a lot more wisdom, a lot more knowledge on how to do things and get away with them. How you don't want to get in trouble for doing things that are uncalled for, so you don't. But you wait for the moment that some young dummy tries you and you push a knife into his neck. Like, share, subscribe. Those are my thoughts of a rambling mind. And I'm out.